In recent times, Canadian politicians and news media have been taking an American approach to the right-wing, right-of-center side of politics. Now, Danielle Smith is calling on progressive politicians to dial down their rhetoric after the attack on Donald Trump. Now, we're all glad to see that Donald Trump is safe and sound. He was injured, but he was not. Obviously, he could have been killed in that situation. 2 others were injured, and one man lost his life, and it's very sad what happened. But this is not stopping the media from doing what they typically do, and they're actually even trying to catch themselves as of recent.
To try to win this election and turn their fire on Donald Trump. I think there is... I shouldn't have said turn their fire. I apologize. That was not the phrase that I meant.
No, you just can't help yourself. And that's really what's going on in this. And it's a lot of the rhetoric that's been ramping up over several years to, include very, very, most people would call this incitement to violence, but this is what's happening now. Sleepy Joe Biden here is calling on people to tone it down. On the other side, of course, after an assassination attempt, he's calling on people to settle it down, but he's not talking much about his own rhetoric.
I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors.
What did
we're
you
friends,
say before
co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we are fellow Americans. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans quote a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Well, what would that give people the idea to do if there's a clear and present danger? Now, you might say this is out of context. This is just one rally. Well, this is just a rally just recently where he's saying the same thing.
Most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation.
And, well, what do you do with a threat? Well, you try to financially ruin them. Then you try to, we all know the escalation of this. Now, this same escalation has been happening in Canada, and Ryan Gerritsen pointing this out. And this is you can see all of these headlines. This is the Canadian media, and they're turning around and they're using the same type of rhetoric towards Pierre Poilievre. After what happened yesterday, this is just the day after the assassination attempt on Trump, the media needs to stop with this rhetoric. Pierre is the most dangerous politician. The dangerous rise of Pierre. This is the dangerous game they're playing. Saying all this stuff about skirting or courting the far right. All of this stuff that we all know is untrue. But this is not just the media. This is actually, this is the Liberal Party themselves engaging in this kind of rhetoric. Pierre Poilievre isn't rejecting the support of far right extremist groups. He's courting them, and we're continue to be there with the real solutions for Canadians. And here you go with this kind of rhetoric. And not only that, as they were saying, Pierre's bringing American-style politics to Canada. They directly compare him to Trump, somebody that, we all saw what happened.
Thing called common sense.
Common sense.
Common sense.
Common sense.
With a party of common sense.
Common sense of the common people.
Common sense.
Common sense plan.
An old-fashioned American common sense.
Common sense conservative prime minister.
Conservative person with common sense.
Common sense.
Oh golly, they use the same word, the same phrase. Maybe they must be the same person, but this is what you see during this time as this rhetoric has been ramping up. Tracy Wilson replying to a post that's from an account that no longer exists. If you're talking like this, you might be a garbage human. Obviously, somebody talking about their happiness about what happened to Trump. And this person replying, yeah, karma is a B, waiting for Pierre Poilievre to get his. Yeah, that's right. This kind of rhetoric is ramping up. Now, Danielle Smith talking to the media saying, we need to really reassess the way we talk in media.
I think everybody's very concerned. When you see an attempted assassination and that kind of political violence, it's unacceptable. And I'm glad that we're beginning to see that they've recognized that things have gone too far. The way in which conservative politicians have been characterized is outrageous. And that is, I think, led to the culture that we've seen in the U.S. And I certainly hope that some of the progressive politicians here are careful of their language, because they've been talking about conservative politicians in the same way, and they need to dial it down. Like what? Have you not looked at the headlines about how Pierre Poilievre is described as dangerous? How the leader of the opposition in Alberta has described me as dangerous? When you start using that kind of rhetoric, that ends up creating an elevated risk for all of us. And I think we have to be very mindful that we can have a disagreement in politics, but we have to stick to the issues. This is what I love about this table, actually, is that we come from different political perspectives, and we're all able to get along and find areas of agreement.
You're a pretty forceful speaker yourself, Danielle Smith, and I wonder if you've had, as you've asked others to take some reflection, have you had any reflection about your own rhetoric?
I always stay focused on issues and focused on finding ways that we can debate issues, and I think it should be focused on issues. I think when you start name calling and you start calling and start describing people in a way that is inappropriate and creates a dangerous environment, I think people have to be self-reflective.
Thanks, everybody.
So that was Danielle Smith weighing in on that. Now, CBC, of course, they chime in on this, and they say Alberta Premier calls on progressive politicians to dial down the rhetoric after an attack on Trump. Now, they go over what she had to say, and of course, they have to jump in with their little tidbits. And here they are during a conversation about pitfalls of solar panels. Smith reportedly said to Tucker Carlson, this is at the Tucker Carlson event. I was there. I remember I witnessed this. She said, "I wish you would put Stephen Guilbeault in your crosshairs." Now, she was referring to Stephen Guilbeault with what he's been doing as an environmental minister. Now, she used the term crosshairs. She didn't go on to say that he's a danger to the nation and he's an imminent threat for, people's safety, as we've heard from the rhetoric from the other side. But, this is the news trying to be fair in their own crazily biased way. He's an environmental zealot, she added. He happened to be our environmental minister federally, and he believes that he has the expertise and knowledge to tell us in Alberta how to run our power grid. At the time, Guilbeault said he felt targeted by the Smith-Carlson fireside chat. When asked Monday if she needs to reflect on her own comments, Smith said she focuses on the issues. Now, they didn't bring this specifically up and then ask her about this, which the article leads you to believe that that's what happened. I think we should be focused on issues. If you start calling and start describing people in this way, it's inappropriate and creates dangerous environment. I think people need to be self-reflective on that, she said. In a follow-up scrum, Smith was asked whether the crosshairs comment meets her standard in respect to politics. She said, "I've been very clear that Stephen Guilbeault should be fired from his job as environmental minister." Or as environment minister, and I stand by that. But this is where the rhetoric has been going. Now, the media has had a freak out over Pierre Poilievre's reaction to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Now, he said on Twitter, and he was one of the first to actually come out with a statement, and this is, by all means, think of this as a guy who may also have crosshairs on him because of this rhetoric that's been going around. So, yeah, I can understand why he might be emotionally driven to say something like this. I condemn in the strongest terms the attempted murder of former President Trump today. I'm relieved he is safe. My prayers are with the innocent people harmed or killed in this heinous act. I'm also happy that the suspected shooter is dead. Democracy must prevail. Now, of course, this is when everybody was clutching their pearls about what happened to the shooter and Pierre Poilievre's reaction to the demise of the shooter. I'm also happy that the suspected shooter is dead, says Andrew Coyne. In all the reactions from political leaders the world over, I can find no other expressing such lip-smacking satisfaction at the violent death of another human being. While others appeal for calm, Pierre rejoices in the retribution. It's human enough in such moments to think, but to say it, and not in some unguarded private moment, but as the public reaction with the potential for further violence hanging in the air of a would-be prime minister. This is not normal, says, of course, Andrew Coyne. Of course, This I thought was the best response to this. Dean on Twitter or on X says, an assassin's bullet grazes the ear of Trump at an election rally. One attendee killed, 2 wounded. The Canadian media, I can't believe how mean Pierre Poilievre was to the shooter. He's a horrible person. But hey, I'd love to hear what you have to think about this whole thing. Is the rhetoric ramping up too much in Canada? We always hear the the accusation from the Liberal Party that the Conservatives are bringing American-style politics to Canada, but it looks like the media and the Liberals are the ones bringing American-style rhetoric, violent rhetoric towards right-leaning, right-of-center politicians in this country. Where do you think this is going? Let me know in the comments section down below. And as of course, we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.